She'll never forget the man who made her question everything she thought she knew about love. And that man, he's not the nicest, he's not the richest, he's not even the most attractive, but he's unforgettable, because he knew one truth that most men never figure out. He didn't try to win her. He made her feel something she couldn't ignore. We live in a world where you're told to be nice, polite, always available, always agreeable. But deep down, you know that doesn't work. You've seen it. You've felt it. You give everything. You show up. You love her more than anyone else ever could. And what do you get in return? Silence, ghosted, replaced. The truth is, you were never seen as the man of her life. You were the man who tried too hard to be. Today, that ends. Comment, I won't be forgotten if you're ready to become the man she remembers in every room she walks into. Number 1. She craves energy, not approval. You could do everything right. Send good morning texts, compliment her every chance you get, buy her flowers on days she didn't ask for them, make sure she knows you're always one call away, and still lose her to a man who barely even tried. And if that's ever happened to you, then you know what I'm about to say is going to hit deep, because it's not about how much you give or how well you treat her. It's about how deeply she feels your presence without you needing to validate yourself every second you're near. Because when a man walks into a room unsure of who he is, seeking attention like a child tugging at his mother's sleeve, he gets treated like one, ignored, brushed off, made invisible. And the truth most men never get told is this. Women do not respond to niceness. They respond to certainty. And that certainty shows in how you hold yourself when you're not being watched. It's in how you don't react when her texts get shorter, how you don't chase when she pulls away, how you don't flinch when she compares you to someone else. Because deep down she's waiting to feel something deeper than comfort. She wants to feel who you are when you're not trying to be anything for her. She wants to experience a man who is rooted, not floating from one compliment to the next, hoping for her attention like a reward. And if you've ever been in that place where you're constantly thinking about what to say so she doesn't lose interest, constantly calculating the right emoji, the right response time, the right joke to make her laugh, I need you to ask yourself, what would happen if you said nothing? What if instead of filling the space, you simply let your energy speak? Because presence is not a sound, it's not a sentence. It's a force that enters before you speak and lingers long after you've left. And here's how you begin. Wake up every morning and do something for your mind and your body before your phone even lights up. Before you reach for her, reach for your mission. Because when you begin your day needing nothing from her, you return to her as a man who chooses her, not one who depends on her attention to feel worthy. Start by scheduling time every week where you disappear, not to punish her, but to find yourself. Take a walk with your phone on silent. Write a goal on paper and move toward it even if it's slow. Go to the gym without posting about it. Read without bragging. Build a world so solid that her approval becomes a bonus, not your foundation, because when she feels that you are complete with or without her, then she starts wondering. Then she gets curious. Then she leans in, because she doesn't want a man who tries to be enough. She wants a man who already is enough and never needed her to tell him that. Number 2. Stop trying to be her prince. She doesn't want a prince. She wants a man who lives like he doesn't need a fairy tale ending. And that truth might be hard to swallow when everything you've been taught tells you to show up with flowers, open every door, pay every bill, sacrifice your peace for her comfort, and shape yourself into the image you think she'll love. But what if I told you the more you try to be her prince, the faster she forgets you, because women don't fantasize about perfection. They're drawn to the edge. They want unpredictability, the feeling of danger without chaos, emotional stimulation without begging for it. And when you show up like a perfectly predictable robot, saying yes to everything, never disagreeing, texting "Good morning, beautiful" like it's a to-do list item. You become part of the noise, and what cuts through that noise is not another compliment. It's contrast. And if you've ever been the guy who stayed up late texting her, buying her favorite snacks, listening to her complain about other men, hoping that someday she'll see that you've been the right choice all along, then I need to tell you this. She already knows you're a good man, but being good doesn't make you unforgettable. Being unforgettable means becoming the experience she can't replace. The man who made her feel more than she could explain. The man who didn't live for her, but lived in such a way that being around him was like stepping into another world. Not a checklist, not a resume, but a story she never wanted to end. And if you're wondering how you become that man, you start by breaking patterns. Stop texting her first every single time. Let her come to you. Stop offering plans and start making decisions. Stop telling her how much you care and start showing her how little you need to prove it. Take her somewhere she didn't expect, not just physically but emotionally. Say what no one else dares to say. Call out contradictions. Be bold in your truth, even if it shakes the room. Ask questions that unsettle her comfort. Speak from your gut instead of your fears. And when she feels that rawness, that unpredictability, that refusal to be what she expects, you will spark something in her she didn't know she was waiting for, because she doesn't want someone who fills her day with attention. She wants someone who makes her days feel different just by being there. So start today by doing something you've been avoiding. Set a boundary, cancel a plan, say no to something that doesn't feel right, and watch how quickly your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, her perception of you changes, not because you tried harder, but because you finally stopped trying to be someone she could love and started becoming someone she could never forget. And when she sees that, she either gets inspired to rise beside you or fades into memory while you keep building the future she never had the strength to imagine. And if you've ever asked yourself, what does that future actually look like? How do I stop breaking my own heart over women who don't see me? How do I build a relationship where I never lose myself again? Then you need to get your hands on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint linked in the comments. This isn't just a book. It's the roadmap you've been searching for, the clarity you've needed when everything felt chaotic. It's packed with real, raw, life-changing insight designed for men like you who are done settling, done chasing, done being misunderstood. The best part? It's yours forever. Once you have it, no one can take it from you. Not her, not the pain, not the past. And every time life shakes you, every time you feel yourself slipping back into your old ways, you'll have the blueprint to remind you exactly who you are. Don't wait. Get it today. Number 3. Be magnetic, not loud. There's a reason why some men walk into a room and never say a word, yet everyone notices them. And it's not their watch or their clothes or their smile. It's something deeper, something harder to fake, something that doesn't rely on noise or trying too hard. And if you've ever looked at a man like that and wondered what makes him different, why people lean in when he speaks, even if it's just one sentence, why women look at him with a mix of intrigue and respect, without him even trying to grab their attention, it's because he's learned to be felt, not heard. And in a world full of men screaming to be seen, the ones who truly capture attention are those who speak from their soul and move like they don't need to be explained. Because true presence isn't volume. It's weight. It's the stillness in your posture, the ease in your step, the way you hold a gaze without flinching, the way you say less. Not because you lack words, but because you've mastered your energy to the point that you know when not to speak. And this isn't some vague mystery. It's something any man can learn if he's willing to detach from the need to be validated, if he's willing to stop chasing reactions and instead start commanding respect through his discipline. And you begin with your body. Because when your body looks like it's been through something, when your shoulders are squared, Not because someone taught you to walk that way, but because you've earned that posture through pain and progress. She sees that. And your eyes. If they've seen pain but no longer show desperation, if they've cried but now carry a calm gaze instead of begging for connection, she feels that. And this kind of presence doesn't come from faking it or mimicking confident men. It comes from facing your fears in private, so your public presence feels unshakable. It comes from reading when everyone else is watching noise, from building when others are sleeping, from turning down meaningless fun to build something that will still matter in 10 years. And if you've ever been in a room where you tried to make everyone laugh, tried to lead every conversation, tried to stay relevant by being loud, and still felt ignored, this is your turning point. Because the man who captivates does so by not needing to impress, by letting his life speak for itself. And how do you build that? You start by stripping your identity down to the raw, uncomfortable truth. Ask yourself what you've been avoiding, what pain you've been masking with distractions, what goals you keep postponing because they're too heavy to face alone. And then you face them one by one, in silence, in solitude. And as you begin to do that consistently, something changes in how you breathe, in how you enter a space, in how you no longer laugh too hard at jokes that aren't funny, no longer nod in agreement to things you don't respect, no longer tolerate people who drain your energy. And it's in that shift that people begin to notice, not because you're loud, but because they can't ignore what you've become. And once you've experienced that kind of presence, the need to be loud dies forever, because you realize it's not about being seen, it's about being undeniable. Number 4. Predictability is a death sentence. If there's one trait that will kill attraction faster than anything else, it's being predictable. And if you don't believe that, look back at every time you gave her exactly what she said she wanted. Consistent texts, constant reassurance, compliments on demand, plans she could count on, and then watched her interest vanish like smoke. Because while comfort feels good for a while, it never leaves a mark. It never burns deep enough to stay. And what she really craves, though she might never say it out loud, is unpredictability. The emotional curve she didn't see coming, the sharp turn in conversation that makes her heart skip a beat, the pause before you speak that makes her question what you're thinking, the moment you don't respond the way every other man would. And if you've ever been ghosted by someone who once called you different, if you've ever had her say, "You're such a great guy," just before she started talking to someone else, it wasn't because you weren't good. It was because she figured you out too fast. Because every move you made followed a script she's seen 100 times. And in that familiarity, she felt nothing new. And when women stop feeling, they start leaving. Because emotional engagement is the foundation of attraction, and without it, you become background noise. So if you want to become unforgettable, you need to stop being expected, and that doesn't mean being chaotic or hurtful. It means being present enough to break your own patterns. It means sometimes showing up when she didn't think you would, and sometimes holding back when she expects you to chase. It means not responding with "whatever you want" when she asks where to go, but saying, "We're doing something different tonight." And when she pushes back, you don't argue. You lead, because unpredictability is not just what you do, it's how you move. And when she feels that she's not in control of the rhythm, when she doesn't know what you'll say next, when she's kept on her toes, she leans in, and that's what keeps her thinking about you at night. Not because you were nice, but because you were different in a way she couldn't decode. And if you're wondering how to start, it's this. Pick one habit you've created around women: texting good morning, checking in too often, waiting for her to respond. And break it, not to manipulate, but to disrupt the pattern, to rewire your own identity from someone who follows to someone who leads. And once you do that consistently, you'll notice the shift, not just in how she looks at you, but in how you see yourself. Because being predictable doesn't just kill attraction, it kills your edge. It dulls your instincts. It turns you into a man who reacts instead of creates. And the moment you reclaim that unpredictability, you stop being one of many and become the man she wonders about, the one she can't stop watching because she can never quite guess what you'll do next. And that's the man she doesn't just want. That's the man she's afraid to lose. Number 5. Dangerous men are silent. There's a kind of man who doesn't raise his voice, doesn't flinch under pressure, doesn't chase after anyone who walks away. And yet somehow, he's the one people fear losing the most. And if you've ever watched a woman walk away from a guy who gave her the world, only to run back to the one who barely said anything, who didn't try to keep her, didn't beg her to stay, then you already know this truth, but you haven't let it sink into your bones yet, because it's not about being reckless or toxic. It's about being so grounded in who you are that no situation can rattle your frame. And that kind of man is dangerous, not because he's violent or cruel, but because he's lived through pain, faced rejection without crumbling, buried old versions of himself without clinging to the past, and come out on the other side with a calm so unshakable it's intimidating. And women, despite what they say, are not attracted to comfort. They're drawn to the man who feels like he's already seen what life can throw at him and is still standing with unspoken strength. Because when a man radiates that kind of resolve, he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, and that lack of need. That's what draws her in, because in a world full of men who talk too much and mean too little, the man who says less but lives with purpose becomes unforgettable. And if you've ever found yourself explaining your worth, trying to make her see how loyal or kind or hard-working you are, you've already lost, because the kind of man she remembers is the one who doesn't need to explain himself, he just is. And you build that by facing what you've been running from, by doing hard things consistently, not to show off, but to remind yourself of what you're capable of. And if you're wondering where to start by removing anything that's draining your power. Stop venting your emotions to people who haven't earned your story. Stop chasing conversations that go nowhere. Stop saying yes to things that chip away at your time and focus. Start spending your mornings in stillness before the world demands anything from you. Get under the bar at the gym and let your body feel the weight of resistance until your thoughts are clear. Write down the truths you've been avoiding, the ones that hurt to admit but are necessary for growth, and face them without distraction. And when you start to rebuild yourself in private, brick by brick, you begin to move differently in public. People notice you not because you're loud, but because there's a gravity to your presence that can't be faked. And women, whether they admit it or not, are drawn to that gravity because it makes them feel safe, not just physically but emotionally, because they can sense that you're not a man who breaks under pressure or begs for attention. You are the kind of man who could walk away at any moment, not to punish, but because you're already complete. And when she senses that your peace doesn't depend on her, she starts questioning everything, because that kind of strength, that emotional distance mixed with calm control, it's rare, and rare is what sticks. Rare is what stays in her head at night. Rare is what makes her check your profile even after she said goodbye. So if you want to be that man, you don't build it through manipulation or bravado. You build it by mastering yourself every single day until you become so certain of who you are that the world begins to adjust to you. Number 6. Never be fully available. Every time you respond within seconds, every time you cancel your plans to be there for her, every time you pour out every detail of your day just to keep the conversation going, you're sending one message. And it's not love, it's need. And need is the fastest way to become forgettable, because no one values what's always there. No one gets excited about what's expected. And women, though they'll ask for your time, your attention, your vulnerability, will slowly begin to pull away the moment they feel you've made them your world. Because while they may crave emotional connection, they do not respect emotional dependency. And if you've ever felt that sting of giving her everything only to watch her drift, becoming colder, shorter, less engaged, it wasn't because you did something wrong, it's because you gave too much without making her earn it. And the truth that will set you free is this: being fully available isn't generous, it's unattractive. And what women respect, what pulls them in, what makes them obsessed, is the man whose time is earned, whose focus is selective, whose life is so full that she has to fit into it, not become the center of it. And you don't do this by pretending to be busy or playing games. You do it by actually building a life worth protecting, a mission so important that it takes precedence over her texts, a purpose so consuming that she knows she's part of your world, but not the reason it exists. And if you want to know where to start, begin by creating sacred time blocks in your day where your phone is off and your mind is on the mission. Schedule time for your body, because when you look better, you feel better. And when you feel better, you move different. Prioritize your peace like it's oxygen. Stop explaining your need for space and simply take it. And when she asks why you didn't reply for 2 hours, don't lie. Tell her you were working on yourself, on your future, on your legacy, because when a woman sees that you're unavailable for anything that doesn't move you forward, she doesn't feel ignored. She feels the pull of your power. And that's what makes her lean in. And I know some of you have been told that love means constant access, that loyalty means immediate replies, that respect means availability. But that's a lie designed to keep you small, because the man who is always reachable is never respected, and the man who guards his time becomes the one she values the most. And the shift begins not with a speech, but with a boundary, a hard line that you draw and keep, not to punish her, but to honor yourself. And once you live by that line long enough, something shifts in the way you speak, in the way you walk, in the way she looks at you. Not as a man she can text any time, but as a man she has to earn. And once she feels that she's not the center of your universe, she starts to chase your orbit, not because you made her, but because she knows she could lose you. And that fear, that edge, that unknown, is what keeps her coming back, not to have you, but to prove to herself that she's worthy of being next to you. Number 7. Detach like a king. There comes a time in every man's life when he has to stop trying to hold on to everything that doesn't serve him, when he has to stop begging for clarity, closure, or connection, and instead choose himself, even if it means walking alone. And if that moment hasn't come for you yet, then this is it. Because detachment isn't about apathy. It's about understanding that your value doesn't decrease when someone walks away. And if you've ever found yourself sitting by your phone, rereading old messages, wondering if she's thinking about you, if you did something wrong, if she'll ever come back, then understand this. The man who needs her love to feel whole will always be at her mercy. But the man who builds his life so powerfully that any woman who leaves him has to watch him rise without her, that man is free. And if you think freedom looks like chasing nothing and feeling nothing, you're wrong, because freedom is when your peace is no longer on auction, when your self-worth isn't rented out for attention, when you no longer negotiate with people who couldn't even meet you halfway. And women will test this in ways that feel personal. They'll pull back to see if you chase. They'll disappear to see if you panic. They'll flirt with someone else just to see if you fold. And it's not because they're evil. It's because they need to feel the edge of your detachment to respect the depth of your presence. And the man who fails that test becomes the man she forgets. But the man who passes it, the man who doesn't beg, doesn't argue, doesn't seek revenge or demand validation, the man who just keeps building, keeps leveling up, keeps growing, that's the man she can't shake. And detachment starts with deciding that you are the project, that your gym sessions are non-negotiable, that your journal isn't just paper but a blueprint, that your goals aren't fantasy but duty, that your friendships, your money, your vision, These are sacred, and anything or anyone that doesn't align must either rise with you or fall away. And if you're wondering how to begin, start by unfollowing the people who drain you, blocking the numbers that leave you in emotional limbo, writing down every goal you abandoned for someone else, and reigniting them with fire, waking up earlier than you want to, and doing one thing every day that reminds you who you are. And as your momentum builds, as your peace grows stronger, something will shift. Women who once treated you like an option will start seeing you as a standard, not because they changed, but because you finally did. And when that moment comes, you don't seek revenge. You don't take them back to prove a point. You nod, thank the past for its lessons, and move forward, because detachment is the sword you carry not to cut others down, but to carve out a path no one else has the courage to walk. And once you live this way long enough, you become the kind of man who doesn't need to chase a queen, because he's already become a king. Number 8. Purpose over everything. There is no greater force on earth than a man who has found his mission, no greater clarity than waking up every day knowing exactly why you're alive, and no greater danger than a man who trades that for a woman's validation. Because the moment you let a relationship become your reason for waking up, you've already lost the battle against yourself. And if you've ever felt that ache, that loss of identity after a breakup, that feeling of floating with no direction because she was your compass, you've already tasted the pain of building your life around someone else's presence. And the truth is brutal but necessary. You are not here to be her fantasy, her fixer, or her entertainment. You are here to become so grounded in your calling that anyone who enters your life becomes an addition, not a necessity. And this kind of purpose doesn't appear in a moment of inspiration. It's forged through years of doing the work no one sees. Waking up early when no one's watching, grinding in silence, sacrificing comfort, choosing discipline over dopamine. And when a man lives like this, when every step he takes is aligned with something greater than approval or pleasure, he begins to move with a different kind of certainty. And women can feel that difference. They can sense when you're not texting them from boredom, but from a brief pause between building empires. They can tell when your attention is expensive, not because you're playing games, but because your time is consumed by vision. And this is what separates the unforgettable from the replaceable. Not looks, not money, not charm, but direction. And if you've ever been the man who cleared his schedule to make time for her, who skipped the gym, put off projects, delayed decisions just to be available, then understand this. Love should complement your path, not cancel it. And if she can derail your focus with one call, she doesn't respect your mission. And maybe neither do you. So here's how you change that. You write your vision down, not just in vague dreams, but in specifics. What does your ideal day look like? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What would you die for? And then reverse engineer that into your habits, your actions, your circle. Start saying no to anything that slows you down, even if it's disguised as love. Start structuring your life around your goals, not your feelings, and let women experience you as a man in motion, not a man in waiting, and the shift will be undeniable. You'll notice how the wrong ones fall away, how the right ones rise to meet you, and how your sense of self no longer depends on external affection, but on internal alignment. And this is where life gets real. Because when a man finds his purpose and makes it his religion, he no longer begs the world to give him meaning. He becomes the meaning. And when she sees that, she either gets inspired to rise beside you or fades into memory while you keep building the future she never had the strength to imagine. And if you're still listening right now, it means something inside you already knows. You can't keep living like this, begging to be seen, shrinking to fit, handing your heart to women who were never ready to hold it. And that's why the Stoic relationship blueprint exists, not to make you better for her, but to make you unbreakable for yourself, to hand you the clarity, control, and core strength that no one ever taught you. And if you're tired of wasting years figuring this out alone, if you're done repeating the same heartbreak in different faces, the link's in the comments. The blueprint is waiting, and once it's yours forever. No more confusion, no more chasing, just the truth in your hands every time you need it. So do what most men never will. Comment the Stoic Blueprint. If you're ready to grab your copy, like this video, and subscribe, not for me, but so this truth reaches every man who's drowning in silence, second-guessing his worth, and needs this more than he'll ever admit. Because when enough men finally wake up, we don't just change relationships, we change legacies.